Okay, guys, so welcome back. So we talked about neutral cards, and we're going to go straight, move on down. We're going to go to Druid. Now we're going to go through each of the classes. And instead of breaking it down by rarity, we're just going to go straight from the most expensive mana cost card, because usually they're the rarest. And we're going to go down, right? So Druid, we're starting off with the cool one, Ultimate Infestation. 10 mana. Deal 5 damage, draw 5 cards, gain 5 armor, summon a 5/5 ghoul. Guys, you know what? Let me fix my thing. I want to get my face on the screen real quick. Hold up. Alright, there we go. Back to this. Guys, this card is the nuts. Okay? Like, there's a balance. Like, okay, how do I explain this? Sometimes you can have very good effects, but the mana cost is too prohibitive, and because of that, like, you know, maybe those cards just, they're not gonna always see play. Like, man, you know, I don't even know. I don't even, well, like, what's a bad card that I'm trying to even think of a bad card that I wouldn't play that did a bunch of shit. So I don't know. Like, I don't know. Fucking Alex Strauss or yeah, I don't know, Ysera. Like, let's say Ysera, it's 9 for something, right? But you know, the effect just doesn't do enough. Even though the body is wide, sometimes some decks are just not going to want to play that, right? Even some control priest decks are just not going to want to play that. There's just so many better options right now, right? Ultimate Infestation, though, is the card that is just so freaking good. It is just so good that it doesn't matter, and you're going to play the card. It's 5 out of 5 stars, guys, okay? We're going to go with the theme here. 5 damage, 5 cards, 5 armor, summon a 5/5 ghoul. Hey, that's 5 out of 5 ranking, okay? This is too crazy. Fireland's Portal is 7 mana to deal 5 damage and make a 5-drop come out, okay? This does the same thing, but you draw 5 cards and you gain 5 armor. Like, drawing 2 cards is worth 3 mana, okay? So you're drawing 5 cards already, and you're gaining 5 armor for 3 mana. That is insanity. That is insanity. I'm not saying every deck is going to have 2, because 2 10 drops is pretty restrictive and prohibitive. They are going to be dead in your hand all the time, and you know, you're not going to really need to draw 10 cards, right? So, you know, you don't want to spend 2 turns like, well, you know, I don't even want to say you want to spend 2 turns like that, because typically there are turns past turn 10 where you're dropping a thing that's close to a 5/5 and not doing much besides that when you're top decking, right? Whatever. This is way fucking better. In the worst situation, you would have died to Pirate Warrior anyway, right? So it doesn't even matter. So you should only compare it in the situations that are ones where you might win, or like where it's on the fence whether you would win. And that card is nuts, dude. I can't even stop talking about this card because it's so crazy. Ultimate Infestation, 5 out of 5. Probably one of the best cards of the set. There's a lot of hype behind it, and there should be, because it is just crazy. It's too good. Hadronox, 9 for a 3/7 beast. Death Rattle, summon your taunt minions that died this game. At first, I was like, yeah, this card's kind of, you know, whatever. But when you look at the rest of the Druid creature portfolio, right, it's actually not that bad. It might be pretty interesting, but I don't know how good it will be. Like, it's hard to tell, because even though you, like, let's say you bring back a board of 6 other creatures, that might be crazy, but typically those creatures are not going to be greatly statted. And this itself doesn't have taunt. So I would go ahead and say give this a 3 out of 5 stars, because I don't think it will be that bad. I think it'll be pretty good. Malfurion the Pestilent, 7. That's a pretty cheap Death Knight, okay? 7 to gain 5 armor and change your hero to Malfurion the Pestilent. Battle cry is choose 1. Summon 2 poisonous spiders or 2 scarabs with taunt. That's meh. And the hero power becomes gain 3 armor, or gain 3 attack. It's pretty vanilla, pretty boring, I guess. But I think that is pretty darn strong, and I would see Malfurion fitting in many, many decks. I think it's very good. Also, like, these. Remember that ramp is really good in Druid. And because it's so good in Druid, these cards are even more playable. The high mana casting cards are even more playable in Druid just because of that, right? I would say this is a pretty good card. I'm gonna say a lot of Druids are gonna play it. This is not like this is not a hero power or a Death Knight class where you're like, man, this is just not that good. I don't think I want to play it. Hell no, this is good. This is good. You would play Justicar, right? So I mean, this is 1 more mana, no body, but I mean you get other 2 poisonous spiders or taunts. I think that's all right. I would give this a 4 out of 5. So 4 out of 5 from Malfurion the Pestilent. Let me write that down. Okay, moving on. Spreading Plague, 5 for a spell. Summon a 1/5 Scarab with taunt. If your opponent has more minions, cast this again. That's good, man. One of the biggest problems with Druid decks, I think, well, besides Aggro Druid, right, or Token Druid, are boards that go wide, wider than you, right? And I think that's where Spreading Plague just really, it's just brick stonewalls people. They go wide, you put a bunch of 1/5 taunts. Now, sure, they can send a bunch of minions, 2 or 3 minions at a 5 health taunt, and kill it. And because you only have 1 attack, you're not going to kill it, but you're going to stall the board out. And there will be very limited times where aggressive decks are able to clear out an entire board of taunts. That buys you at least a turn. I like the card. I think it's pretty strong. I'm going to give that card 4 out of 5. I think it's pretty good, but it still remains to be seen. But man, Spreading Plague looks pretty good. That's a pretty darn good card. Web Weave, summon 2 1/2 poisonous spiders. A lot of people are giving this card flack, but it's not bad. Like at 4 mana, this would have been pretty good, I think. Even though they don't have taunt. Gosh, it's like, see, like, put yourself in a situation where you're trading on board, I guess, right? Or you're both developing boards and trying to keep each other off the boards. And then on turn 5, this guy plays that. So what do you assume is on the opposite side of the board for your opponent, right? And whatever it is, he's still going to have to put 2 resources into these things, and they don't die to the normal hero power. So unless he has AoE, which, hey, he's going to have to spend it on this, or he puts 2 actions, 2 creatures into it, it's not going to be easy to remove. I think this card's a lot better than, obviously at 4 mana, I think this would have been a pretty good card. And at 5 mana, it's a little more conditional, but I would say this is a 3 out of 5. Web Weave is not that bad. Fate Spinner, 5 for a 5/3. Choose a Death Rattle secretly. Deal 3 damage to all minions or give them +2/+2. I love this new mechanic, the secret Death Rattle. I think that's very cool. And I think this card is strong. I would say that this card is a 4 out of 5. I think it's being underrated. I don't think a lot of people realize, but this card might be good. A lot of people are saying, like, well, Ken, if your board is wide, then people know that you already picked the +2/+2, so they're going to just trade out into the board. But if your board is not wide, or your opponent has the wider board, they're going to assume that you have 3 damage, so they're just going to ignore or go face, right? And I think that's where the decisions lie, and where you can trick your opponent into making the decision that seems the best on paper, but is actually not what you do, and then you kind of benefit from it. I don't know, like, gosh, I don't know. And this could be comboed. You can always just Wrath it, right? But that's a pretty expensive scenarios. I don't know. I think it's good. I think it's going to see play, and it's going to be a lot better than people expect. I think Fate Spinner, I'm going to go out on a limb, and I'll give it a 4 out of 5. I could be very wrong. This could maybe not see play, but I'm going to go for it, right? Strong Shell, Scavenger, Battlecry, give your taunt minions +2/+2, 4 for a 2/3. I would normally rate this card pretty low, but because of Spreading Plague and some of the other cards in the set, I think this is going to be pretty strong. I'm going to give it a 3 out of 5, okay? Nash, 3, give your hero +3 attack this turn, gain 3 armor. I think this is weak. This is just like a rip-off of Bash, which is better. And it's cool, it's removable, but there's nothing really cool about this. Or, I don't know, there's nothing really exciting about the card. I actually don't think it'll see a lot of play. 2 out of 5 for Nash. Crypt Lord, 3 for a 1/6 taunt. After you summon a minion, gain +1 health. Gosh, man, 6 health is a lot to get through, even if it's just one attack. Man, I'm going to give it 2 out of 5. I'm going to give it 2 out of 5. It's not... The attack is too much of an issue, I think. So, 2 out of 5 for me. Because I really feel some people are going to try it, and it's just not going to work out well for them. Druid Disarm, last card. 2 for a 1/2. Now you either transform into a 1 with Poisonous or a 1/5 with Taunt. Gosh, man. What do I feel about this card? I think it's weak. This is weak. I mean, you could just play... what is that? Freaking 1/2 Gastropod. I think it's weak, so I'm going to give it 1 out of 5. So that's the Druid review. And next, we are going to get on the Hunter. What do you think?